chapter 11. We've covered a lot of ground so far. Now, in chapter 11, we deal with exception handling. And what exceptions are, they're those things that cause our code or our program to stop. And it could be something simple as you tried to divide by 0. It could be a logic error. There's so many different kinds of problems that could come up. And what we have to do as a programmer is to write our code in a way that we try to do something. If it works, great. If it doesn't work and an error is produced or an issue comes up, we catch that error and we can proceed. Okay? Now, if we don't use this try-catch block logic, what happens is the error takes our program down, causes it to say, well, there's a problem. I can't deal with this, and we're done. But by handling the error, what we're doing is we're saying, let's try this. I don't know if it's going to work or not. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, I'm ready for it, and I don't want things to stop just because one minor little component wasn't doing what I thought it was going to do. Now, some things could be you ask a user to input their age, and they don't give you a number. They type in your age, and they enter Q. And then you try to convert Q into a number. Well, that doesn't work. Q is not an integer. And it would end up, when we try to mathematically manipulate Q or store Q into an integer, it's going to throw a data type error. And if we catch that error, we can catch that error and say, look, what we're going to do logically is proceed, and proceed knowing that what you did was wrong. You entered in a bad value, and I don't need to stop the program just because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Let's just head down a different path. I said, look, what you gave me was wrong. Let's do this again. Please enter your age and have it to be a number and not something other than a number. So that's the logic behind our try-catch. And they catch, exceptions. Exceptions, what that essentially means. Everything goes smooth. That's status quo. We're good. We expect things to happen a certain way, and we're happy. When things don't go our way or go the way we planned, those are exceptions, and we need to address them accordingly. They will take our program out. They will shut us down if we don't manage them. So we need to catch them, and depending on what the exception is, we can handle that exception differently. Now, it could be a divide by 0 exception. It could be an index out of range exception. And sometimes it's just, hey, let me know what the exception is, and we'll just keep going. So we've got an exercise that you're going to be doing that addresses each one of these exceptions. I want you to go through and create a program. And in your program, you'll generate an exception. I want you to write code that you know is going to be problematic. Have it divide by 0. And when it divides by 0, rather than it shutting down, it lets you know, hey, you tried to divide by 0, that didn't work, but we're still going on ahead. Okay. So that's the logic that we're dealing with now, is exception handling and understanding how we're going to do what we need to do and not have problems. Okay. In chapter 8, we dealt with the try parse. We'll deal with that a little bit more in Chapter 11. Okay. Now, when you have actions to perform at the end of a try-catch sequence, you can use a finally block, which executes whether or not the try block identifies any exceptions or not. Typically, you use a finally block to perform cleanup tasks that have to happen regardless of whether it worked or not. We'll deal with that. We've got some examples of that in our exercises. Okay, so we don't have a lot of stuff new this week, but what we do have is something that we've got a new way of looking at what we're doing. We don't assume everything's going to work, because up to now, you know it doesn't always work. All right? And you've seen that you go to run code, and for whatever reason you had a little error, it wouldn't run. It shut down. So with what we're learning this week, rather than having it take us out and shut down our program, we'll go ahead and use our try-catch finally. And that'll get us where we need to be. Okay? It'll give us the feedback to let us know what issues occurred, when they occurred, and then we can address them in our time. Right? So I'll see you in Unit 12.